Hey everybody, I just want to start off this podcast by thanking you all so much for listening in and giving me your ratings and reviews. And as I've mentioned in the past, I'd like to recognize someone every week for leaving me a review. You guys give me the purpose. So I am going to read a review that I've got right now, and it's titled Giving Back. Okay. And this person says, I wanted to start off by saying it's a breath of fresh air that Kris Gethin cares about other people enough to help them with their health. He is very informative and explains things very well and gives a lot of free advice so people can improve themselves. This podcast is awesome, and it really helps to have him by your side and teaching you things along the way. And I really appreciate listening to this and will continue to recommend that you do the same. It will help you become much more educated about health and fitness and even life. Keep going, Kris. You're awesome. Thank you ever so much. I really appreciate that. I'd like to pronounce your name, but it seems like the name is GHHFDFGHFF. As you can see right there, I don't know what that stands for, but thank you very much, and none the same for your 5-star rating as well. So before we get into this podcast with Emily Fletcher, I just wanted to let you guys know that you must be tuning in and thinking, why has Kris got into meditation? What's he doing now? Well, there are so many benefits and attributes to it that I will be starting off every day of my upcoming retreat, which is coming from, it's going to be the 9th to the 13th of October in Idaho, in Sun Valley, and I'm going to be starting every morning off with a meditation class. It's not going to be huge, it's not going to be long, but it's going to be powerful, okay? Because that sets us up for the start of the day, and it dictates the rest of our day. And if we can control our cortisol levels, we're going to improve our performance that much more anyway. So within this retreat, we are going to be covering everything. It's a health and fitness retreat that will cover all aspects of bodybuilding, hybrid athleticism, anti-aging, biohacking, training, nutrition, supplementation, you name it, we will be covering it. We have some of the world's best experts there as well. We will be in Zenergy Health Club and Spa, and not only within the gym, we will be hosting seminars every single day, and everything is all inclusive. Your nutrition obviously will be healthy. That's included. Your hotel at the Limelight, the Limelight Hotel are included. Phenomenal facility. That's where we'll be hosting the seminars every day. And we'll also be, not only will we be in the gym, we will be out there hitting some hikes in the beautiful mountains there and some mountain bike rides. And these will be led by some of the world's best experts and guides that there are to offer. So it's going to be a phenomenal experience that I am going to make life-changing. If you've ever wanted to train with me, if you've ever wanted to pick my brain, and if you've ever wanted to change your life for the better, be a better performing athlete, be a better bodybuilder, recover better, however, look at the health aspects of our journey as well, then you can look at the link in the bio where you can see the complete itinerary of this retreat, which will be held between the 9th and the 13th of October. So check that out. This is going to be an intimate experience. So we're not going to allow that many people to come so you can get my attention. So anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get on the show with Emily Fletcher of Ziva Meditation. Well, hello there, Emily. How are you?
Hi, I'm so good. How are you?
Great. It feels like I've met you so many times before because I've been meditating to you on the online course every morning, every evening. So to see you in a computer screen or device screen is like no surprise.
Yeah, that's so cool. But now I'm responding to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I got a lot of questions for you personally. Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
good. I'm so excited. And thank you for committing to the course, and thank you for having me on and introducing me to your audience. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, this will be very different, I think. You know, I've listened to you on a few other podcasts, obviously like Tom, Dave Asprey's, Aubrey, Marcus. And, my audience is definitely a little bit more in regards to the fitness, bodybuilding orientated, hybrid athleticism, endurance. So we want to see how we can quantify their performance with meditation, So
And I think the best thing for that is just your experience.
yeah, I'll definitely be giving my experience, but your advice will obviously be priceless.
Okay,
All right.
great.
Well, I don't usually introduce somebody and read out their bio. I usually ask you to do that, but I tell you what, it's so impressive that I want to read out your bio because I
Oh,
think a lot of people will listening to something like this and think, oh, it's a bit woo-woo. It's a little bit hippie for me. But I think when they see what or hear who you've worked with, your past, your experience, I think it'll be powerful. So I'm going to read it out right now.
all right.
Okay, so I am here with Emily Fletcher, who is the founder of Ziva Meditation and the leading expert in meditation for extraordinary performance. Her book, for all you viewers that I'm holding right here, Stress Less, Accomplish More, debuted at number 7 on all books on Amazon. The New York Times, Good Morning America, The Today Show, Vogue, and ABC News have all featured Emily's work. She's been named one of the top 100 women in wellness to watch and taught more than 20,000 students around the world and has spoken on meditation for performance at Apple, Google, Harvard Business School, and Barclays Bank. Ziva graduates include Oscar, Grammy, Tony, and Emmy Award winners, NBA players, Navy SEALs, Fortune 500 CEOs, and busy parents. Ziva meditation technique is a powerful trifecta of mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting designed to unlock your full potential. Its benefits include decreased stress, we all need that, deeper sleep, we all need that, improved immune function, and extraordinary performance, we all need that. Thank you very much for being on the show, Emily. Quite the impressive resume you have there.
It's so funny when you hear all of that all together because it's taken, 9 years to do all of those things. When you say it all together, I'm like, whoa, all right, I've been doing some stuff.
Yeah, we haven't even included your trips to India and you as being an actress yourself on Broadway.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey. And then now I'm here and I'm so happy to connect with you. And I'm so happy to connect with your audience, which I'm assuming a lot of them might be new to me and meditation and this work, which is really exciting.
For sure, for sure. Like I've attempted, I'm getting long in the tooth now and I've attempted meditation many, many times over the years and never really stuck to it. But I actually picked up this book earlier in the year. It's been with me to India, actually. I go to India a couple of times a year. I've got a gym franchise over there, so I'm very familiar with India, not the meditative aspect of it, unfortunately. I usually go from city to city to city, not into the northern area, but I'm definitely planning on that, so I want to get your inside scoop on that. But I started speaking to Ali and speaking to her a little bit about, the technique and the course that you have. So I signed up for the online course probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago now. And I've been doing it every single day, twice a day, obviously now. And I've never stuck to something. And having you as that guide, because to begin with, it's accessible. It's 10 minutes. What's 10 minutes? And then obviously once you get over the 10 minutes, then you can progress more and more. And I find it very easy to stick to. Like with anything, as you said, you have to put it in your calendar. Just like if you're going to the gym, if you're having a conference call, whatever it may be, you have to put it in your calendar. And it's been surprisingly easy and effective doing it every morning, right opposite the other side of this computer screen. I'm either doing it there on the floor or we actually have a proper meditation room upstairs. Thankfully, we moved into this house and thought, wow, that'd be perfect for a meditation room. So my fiance designed it as such. So it's the perfect place. So thank you very much for really assisting me in that process. And that is, one of the major reasons why I wanted to get you on the show, because I think all of my listeners can definitely benefit from this. So let's just go back to the start. Obviously, you were an actress on Broadway. Like that must have taken years to begin with just to get to that level. So how come with all this pressure that you put behind yourself to get onto the Broadway stage, did you completely change direction and get into meditation?
Hmm. Well, thankfully, I found something that I loved more than performing. And I think if I'm honest, if I had left acting because I felt like it was done or it was a failure or it would have probably haunted me for the rest of my life if I had felt like I was leaving in defeat. But I felt thankfully that found this other tool that helped heal me and others even more effectively. Because one of the things I loved about performing was that it was healing for folks. So anyway, good news is I felt like I was moving towards the positive, not away from the negative. And I think that's really freed up a lot of my mental and psychological energy because of that. But long story short, when I was on Broadway, it's a very physically demanding job, which I'm sure folks can relate to. It's, you're doing the same show 8 times a week, 6 days a week. You're singing, you're dancing, you're acting. It's very physically fatiguing. And my job was to understudy 3 of the lead roles, which means you show up to the theater, you have no idea which character you're going to play. And so that constant anxiety led to insomnia. I had insomnia for 18 months. I could not sleep through the night. I was going gray at 26, started getting sick and injured. And it was really confusing why I was living my dream and miserable. And so the woman sitting next to me in the dressing room introduced me to her teacher. And on the first day of my first class, I was in a different state of mind than I had ever been in, like a totally different state of consciousness. And then that night I slept through the night for the first time in 18 months. And I have every night since. That was 11 years ago. Then I did not get sick for 8.5 years. I stopped going gray. I turned 40 a couple of weeks ago, and I've got like 3 gray hairs. I was legitimately going gray a decade ago. I stopped getting injured, but most importantly, I started enjoying my job again. And so I was like, why does everyone not do this? And so I left Broadway. I went to India, Northern India, as you said, and I started what became a 3-year training process to teach this. And since graduating, like you mentioned, I've taught over 20,000 people, and it's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And selfishly, I like waking up to emails from my students being like, hey, Emily, my insomnia is gone. My IBS is better. I feel like I'm better at my work. I broke up with that ding dong head. I started writing that book. It's like even though it has nothing to do with me, I like being a part of this alchemy. I like being a part of the facilitation of people really ultimately healing themselves.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. You feel like you're feeding your purpose on this earth. You're earning your residency, and it makes you feel fulfilled. So when you went to India, did you go there knowing the exact spot that you were going to go to practice this meditation? Like, did you go to a monastery? Where exactly did you go, and what did that look like?
Yeah, so when I went to India, I'd only been meditating for maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 months. It was within the first year. And I just went to deepen my own practice. Like I was like, this thing is awesome. I want to go to the roots. I want to learn as much as I can. And I was just going for me personally. And I went to Rishikesh. Rishikesh, which is like a little town in the Himalayas.
Yeah.
And I went to an ashram. So not a monastery, but an ashram, which the differentiation there is that monasteries are for monks and nuns, for celibates and recluses, where ashrams, people like you and me can go there. Even though it's a spiritual center, it's not necessarily for celibates or recluses. So I went to this place called Parmarth Niketan Ashram. They just happened to be running this certain retreat. And yes, I did go there, like knowing that I wanted to deepen my studies. Now, interestingly, it was when I was in India, though, that I had this crazy experience where like time was folding in on itself, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to teach. And so it was when I was in India, even though I was going for selfish reasons, that's when I got the first big download of like, oh, I'm going to teach this. I thought it would be way later in my career when I was like done dancing and done singing and done acting. But it turned out that nature had other plans.
Right. Okay. Well, like I said, I travel to India a couple of times a year, and I'm fascinated by this, and I really want to explore that myself. So
Yeah.
I'll have to get some zip codes from you for that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to put you in touch with my friends there and send you some directions.
That'd be great. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Now, what I always say to my followers is that like I participate in like what's called hybrid athleticism. Not only do I weight train like a bodybuilder, but I also participate in Ironman triathlon, or I've done ultra marathon and stuff like that. And what I found was getting away from the treadmill and the stairmaster and getting outside into the woodlands, which I absolutely love here in Boise, Idaho. We got the mountains. I call that like active meditation. But when I read your book, I thought, well, maybe I've got this wrong. Maybe it's not meditation. You know, you have a lot of differentiators when it comes to meditation and manifestation and being present. Can you tell us the distinguishing features of these?
Yes, and thank you so much for acknowledging this and for being willing to adjust your vernacular and adjust your viewpoint. I feel like sometimes we just are so fixed and, well, this is what I call this one thing, and it's hard to be fluid. So I'll give you my definition of it. I think that being outside in nature can be meditative, right? I think riding a bike can be meditative. Cooking can be meditative. But when people say to me, well, exercise is my meditation, cooking is my meditation, that's where I'm like, no, no, cooking is called cooking, exercise is called exercise, and meditation is called meditation. That's why they have. And so, it's what people are really saying is that exercise relaxes me, cooking relaxes me, being in nature relaxes me, and that's awesome. And if you look at the simplest definition of the word meditation, it is a stress relieving tool. So in that instance, I get the similarities. However, the very important differentiation is that exercise is good enough to handle your stress in today, right? Like, so you go to work, your boss yells at you, you get stressed, you go to the gym and you box it out. You fight that tiger. You get rid of that fight or flight stress chemicals from today. Or you go to the gym and you get on the treadmill and you outrun that tiger from today. But if you want to get rid of the stress that you've been accumulating in your nervous system and your cellular and epigenetic memory, all that stuff that's been accumulating from our past, if we want to heal that, we have to give the body rest. And that is specifically what Ziva meditation does, is that it gives your body rest that's 5 times deeper than sleep. And that's not an insignificant point, because when you give your body the rest that it needs, it knows how to heal itself. And the differentiation that I'm making here is that in exercise and even in mindfulness, those things are very good at dealing with your stress in the now, like a state change. Whereas Ziva meditation is all about a trait change. It's going in and healing things on a cellular, pre-verbal level. It's actually like defragging your brain hard drive and allowing you to ultimately perform at the top of your game, because it is that accumulation of the lifetime of stress. That's what's making us stupid, sick, and slow as a species.
Right. Okay. Got it. Interesting. All right. Now, obviously, like I said, a lot of my listeners are coming from a fitness background. Like, okay, well, how can meditation help me? Of course, they want to perform better. They want to be a better CEO. They want to build their own business. They want to be a better partner. But what about when it comes to physical attributes of, like I said, performing physically, being stronger? Yeah. How can meditation help them? Obviously, I do quantify everything. I did have my Aura ring on my finger about 10 minutes ago, but then I waxed my hair for this, and I totally forgot to put it back on. But one thing I do is measure that, and I measure my deep sleep and REM, obviously, since I've started with the meditation, and seen a drastic improvement with my REM more than anything. And obviously we know that can help us. You know, it helps me dictate whether I should be training legs today or I should go out for a long, easy bike ride. How do you explain to people how, because you work with NBA players, people who need to perform, how meditation can really help them physically if you're a bodybuilder, if you're a sports athlete, etc.?
Yeah. So a lot of people think about meditation and stress as just mental ailments or mental tools, right? That like stress is just affecting me mentally or psychologically, and meditation is just something I would do to get my mind right. But the benefits and the ailments do not stop above the neck. I mean, because this is really a holistic system, and every single thought that you think is printing every single cell in your body. And, you know, our brain is responsible for not only every cell that's printed, but also every decision that we're making. Will I go to the gym or not? Will I drink the wine or not? Will I listen to my own intuition as far as what I want to eat or not? So also when we're stressed, when we're in this constant low-grade fight or flight stress reaction, what happens is that the body is constantly producing adrenaline and cortisol. And if you need to fight someone, then that adrenaline and cortisol are really useful. If you need to lift a car off of a baby, or if you need to outrun a tiger, then it's super useful. But what's killing us, and what Harvard Medical School is attributing 90% of all doctors' visits to, is this low-grade chronic fight or flight thing. And so it's kind of like dripping adrenaline and cortisol in our bodies and brains all day, every day. And that adrenaline and cortisol, they are acidic in nature. And acid leads to inflammation. And inflammation is the basis of all chronic disease. Like, especially if you look at this from an Ayurvedic perspective, but now even Western medicine and allopathic medicine is starting to agree that inflammation is the basis of all chronic disease. And so what meditation is doing is that it's not only getting rid of that adrenaline and cortisol, but it's also flooding your brain and body with dopamine and serotonin, which are bliss chemicals. So it feels nice, but they're also alkaline in nature. So you're basically taking down the baseline level of inflammation in your body. So it's like you just look leaner, to be quite honest. Like, I look at pictures of myself before I was meditating and I just look puffy. Like, I was just, my eyes, my face, my body, even though I was dancing on Broadway and I was, eating well and working out, all that, I just looked puffy. And it could have been some diet, but I think it was also just the inflammation of being stressed and not having very restful sleep. Now, the cool thing also, as I mentioned in my story, we have a really high success rate with insomnia, but you've mentioned yourself, it's your REM sleep is better. So if you're using the meditation every day, twice a day, as a time to sort of like exercise the stress, then and by exercise, I mean eradicate, then you can use your sleep as a time for sleep. So your sleep actually becomes more efficient. It's a more efficient use of your time. Your body's able to regenerate more quickly because it's not so busy cleaning out all the stress from the day. And so, everyone talks about, well, yes, you have to work out, but you also have to rest. You have to have days of rest. The body has to recuperate. And so what the meditation is doing is that it's almost like supercharging your rest time. It's making your recovery time so much more productive and effective.
Yeah, and that, like you said, that goes not just for building muscle or performing better, but fat loss as well. Like, a lot of clients that I've spoken with, if they're just on the treadmill all the time and are in a calorie deficit, their nutrition's on point, everything's perfect, but they've hit a plateau. They're still not losing body fat. A lot of that time, it is because of some form of inflammation. Maybe it's a vegetable fat, maybe it's a sugar, maybe it's that chronic overtraining, the inflammation. Obviously, we live in a different day and age now with pollutants and glyphosate and EMFs and all that sort of stuff, so it's hard to keep our head afloat. And what we've got to do is just really reset ourselves, because that systemic stress, okay, hormesis is great, where we have that acute stress, but it's that systemic stress that is really killing ourselves, where we need to be more present. We need to be more mindful. We need to lower that heart rate and learn how to breathe deeper, as opposed to this shallow anxiety breath that we've become accustomed to today. Take a deep breath. I can see you taking a deep breath now.
Yeah, it feels so good. We forget.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to go like old school, like OG, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was like one of the OGs, he's a big meditator. And he always talks about, how he would literally put his mental awareness on his biceps. He wouldn't watch TV. He wouldn't listen to the radio. Like, if he was working out, he was using 100% of his mental energy to actually put his energy into his muscles, to whatever he was working on. And I think that if you're training your mental attention with the twice a day meditation, it's easier to use that mental fitness inside of your workouts as well. Because what we put our attention on grows. And so if you're actually just visualizing and imagining what your body wants to look like and how you want to feel and the strength that you want to feel, if that's happening during the workouts, I mean, I have no science on this, but I can't imagine that it hurts.
No, definitely not. And I'm sure with your experience working with a lot of athletes and my experience, like I worked in press within the bodybuilding industry as well. All the top bodybuilders that I've met, whether it be Dexter Jackson, Sean Roden, Dorian Yates, or Kevin Levrone, all these people were the most relaxed people I've ever met. So as if they could fall over. They're so chilled out and laid back. And, I think it's of no coincidence. If you're an anxious person all the time and if you've got that systemic stress, that cortisol levels spiking, you're not going to recover. It's just impossible. Now, when you said about that meditation can actually help you relax, help enhance your sleep. Now, with your, because I'm doing your twice a day course at the moment. Now, you shouldn't meditate too late in the day, because if you're too relaxed, then you're not going to be able to sleep after, because this can be more powerful than sleep to a certain extent. What is the cutoff time then? That's what I want to know. If I'm going to bed, I may look like a party animal, but I'm in bed by 9 o'clock. Yeah. What is my cutoff time that I should think about doing that last meditation of the day?
Yeah, so a little bit you have to experiment with your body because some people can meditate an hour before bed and still be fine. For me, because I have a tendency towards insomnia, I have to be quite careful about it. Like I like to do my second meditation around, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 starts to push it. But there's no hard cutoff. I think you just have to experiment. If you meditate 2 hours before bed and it's giving you all this energy and creativity and insomnia, well, then that's too late for you. But I don't like to give like hard doctrine or dogma. I want you to understand the concept and then you have to kind of figure it out for your own body. Because depending on your dosha, which in Ayurvedic medicine is your body type, some people who are quite kaphic, who it means like earth and water, they can meditate quite late and it doesn't impact their sleep. For me, I'm quite vata dominant, which means air and space, which means my metabolism is quite fast. It would be the equivalent to like endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph. Like
Yeah.
vata is sort of like ectomorph, pitta is mesomorph, and kapha is endomorph. And so it's just basically your body type and your metabolic rate. So for me, I vibrate quite high, and I'm kind of fast. And so if I meditate too late, because this is giving your body rest, it's 5 times deeper than sleep. It's the equivalent of about an hour and a half nap. So if I were to do that at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I would be up until 3 in the morning. Same thing with caffeine. If I were to have caffeine late at night, it would be too stimulating for me.
Yeah.
So I would say if you're in bed by 9, I would say maybe no later than like 5 or 6-ish, but experiment, see how
Yeah,
it feels.
yeah, I think I'm very similar to you as well. Like I'm a slow caffeine metabolizer. That will definitely keep me up. And I spent 6 weeks in a sleep clinic in 2000 at the end of 2014 because I was sleeping 3 hours a night. So my sleep
Wow.
has definitely improved. It's not the best, but it's definitely going in the right direction. So I think we have a lot of similarities there.
Yeah. Well, keep me posted on how the meditation impacts your sleep. I hope that it helps.
Well, it's definitely helping. It's definitely helping. It's
Hmm.
going in the right direction. And, that's why, like I said, I really want to get you on the show because so many people can learn from this and be helped. Because in this day and age, no one gets enough sleep. Everyone's stressed. Everybody's, everybody's in that warrior mode, which I used to be. Like, I'm
Yeah.
getting 3 hours sleep a night. I'm still going to the gym. I'm still crushing life. Let's go. And use that to your advantage when it's a disadvantage because it has such a negative effect on your way of thinking, the way that you treat people, the way that you think about yourself, and you don't realize it until you get yourself out of it. So when I look at some of the books that I've written back then, I'm like, wow, who wrote that? Completely different person. And I'm so glad that, I stumbled across or recognized my issue and work upon it now because it's surprising how much of a negative effect it can have on everything. You have joint pains, inflammation in your tendons, and you think it's just from getting older or it's from overtraining. And then when you fix this, it's like, now my body's repairing, it's recovering. My brain feels better. I'm not cloudy. I'm a lot more alert. So there's so many benefits that people don't tap into that's almost free. It's low-hanging fruit. And a lot of people are looking to perform better, but they'll work harder or train more instead of actually going back and resetting themselves and looking into meditation. Interrupting this show to make a quick cup of coffee using LED's Superfood Creamer. Now, if you've been following my socials over the last couple of years, you'll see that I've been using this product which has really changed my coffee game completely. If I go to a coffee shop and ask them for an Americano or something, which is usually rather boring and bland, and I add some of this LED Superfood Creamer, it completely changes the taste profile, but it's healthy. And what I like about this company is that it was started by big wave surfer legend Laird Hamilton, who I actually interviewed on his podcast some weeks ago. And I'll put a link to that show in the show notes. And he explained that the company started over a cup of coffee that he shared with his friends because he wanted them to drink the healthiest cup of coffee out there. And they absolutely loved it. So then what started out of a very authentic way of sharing this, it turned into a business. And just take a look at the ingredients. LED Superfood products are made using only the highest quality, all natural, whole food ingredients. They don't use any extracts, fillers, gum, synthetic vitamins, artificial flavors, or lab-made ingredients, which makes it my go-to for every coffee that I have. If you want to try LED Superfood Creamer for yourself, use the code GETHIN20 to receive 20% off your first purchase, just your first purchase. So make sure it's a big one. All you got to do is go to ledsuperfood.com. And again, I will put that link in the show notes. But until then, let's get back into the show. Why is it, do you think, so many people have started meditation, they've tried meditation, but they don't meditate?
Oh, thank you for asking this question, because it is one of my missions in life is to rid the world of ex-meditators. And I don't mean executing people. I mean basically just giving people the knowledge so that they stop feeling like meditation failures. I actually dedicated the whole book to anyone who's tried meditation and felt like a failure. And so what I think a lot of people are doing is that they're judging themselves based on misinformation. There's like one dude out there telling everybody that in order to meditate, you have to clear your mind, right? And so then what people do is they sit down and then they close their eyes and they go, okay, brain, stop thinking. Sure would love a snack. Maybe I should get up and have some protein. No, now I'm thinking about protein. Oh no, now I'm thinking about how I'm thinking about protein. I suck at meditation. I quit. And that is the beginning and the end of most people's meditation career. And it makes me really sad because they potentially rob themselves of a lifetime of bliss and fulfillment and better performance because they're judging themselves based on misinformation. And so the really good news here for anyone who's ever felt like a meditation failure is that the mind thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily. So trying to give your brain a command to shut up is as impactful as trying to give your heart a command to stop beating. It does not work. And so that's thing one. A lot of people start and quit because they feel like they're failing. None of us will do anything for very long that we feel like we're failing at. Like if you were to work out for an hour a day for 2 months and not see any change, you would quit. And so that's one thing. The other thing is that what most people are calling meditation, like a lot of the free apps out there, a lot of the YouTube videos, a lot of the drop-in studios are actually teaching what I would call mindfulness. And at Ziva, we use mindfulness as the appetizer to the main course, which is meditation. And there's nothing wrong with mindfulness. It's very powerful. It's very good. It's a useful tool. But in my experience, it doesn't give you the same kind of return on investment for your time, right? So mindfulness is very good at dealing with your stress in the now, like a state change, like we were talking about. So my boss yells at me, I do 10 minutes of headspace, I feel better in the now. And that's good, but it's not giving you these like world-changing, life-changing, performance-changing benefits that a lot of the world's high performers are talking about. And I think that your time is your most valuable resource. So if you're going to invest 30 minutes of your day, 15 minutes twice a day, which is what Ziva Online recommends, if you're going to invest 30 minutes of your most valuable resource, you better get a return on that investment, right? Like you better start to see, well, my sleep is better. My sex drive is higher. I am able to work out more effectively. I notice that my body fat is down. Like, you have to see some changes. And what most people are calling meditation, I would actually call mindfulness. And interestingly, the mindfulness is derivative of something that was originally designed for monks. And because monks are meditating all day, they can afford to do gentler protocols than we can as what we call householders, like people with busy minds and busy lives. If you have a job and kids and stuff to do, then you have less time in your day with which to meditate. So you need a practice that's really powerful. That's going to help you go in, clean house, so that you can deliver the most amazing version of you to your job, to your family. And so I find that in this style of meditation, the return on investment is actually exponential. And that's why we have such high adoption rates. And I think that's why so many people stay committed who had previously felt like failures.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, like in your book, you had a great, it was a side-by-side comparison of two people. One was Peggy the performer, and the other one was a Susie Stress Box. Okay. I thought this was awesome.
We went really deep. We went really deep
on that one. I thought it was really good. So could you, and because a lot of people are going to relate, they're going to put themselves in one of these boxes. Could you talk a little bit about Susie Stress Box and Peggy Performer?
Sure. So Susie Stress Box, it's like, look, we've all been there, or we all know someone who is like this, where, you go to sleep late, you go to sleep later than you want to, and then you wake up late, you feel like you're behind, you wake up exhausted, you crawl to the coffee machine, flood your body with acid and, mask your brain's ability to feel tired by, masking your brain's adenosine receptors with caffeine. And then you're late, so you don't make your breakfast. You rush out the door. You You get in traffic, you feel frustrated by traffic. By 10:30, you're crashing because you just had some crappy breakfast and coffee. And then you feel overwhelmed by your to-do list because you're not mentally and physically really together. Now that you feel behind, you don't take a lunch break, so you just work right through lunch. By the time 4 or 5 p.m. rolls around, you're a total ding-dong head. You get home, your kids are yelling at you, you lose your temper on your kids, then you feel guilty. And then you lay in bed, ruminating about all the mistakes you made and can't sleep that night, and you wake up late again the next day. And so the cycle begins. and that's what's leading to this chronic overwhelm, this chronic stress. So this is juxtaposed to Peggy performer who, goes to sleep when she intends to, wakes up in the morning and, freshens up, does her morning meditation, recharges her brain and body, feels like psychologically like she started her day for herself, and she's eradicated that adrenaline and cortisol and flooded her brain and body with dopamine and serotonin. So she feels present, more compassionate with her kids, with her family, feels like, I started something good for myself, so let me just go ahead and make my own breakfast. Gets in traffic, same amount of traffic, but instead of honking the horn and freaking out, she's sending everybody some love. Just be like, oh, I'm so sorry you're having a bad day. Gets to work on time, same amount of demands, same amount of emails, but she had a nice breakfast. She meditated that morning, so she can handle those demands. She actually has some creative ideas. Takes a lunch break, does a little walk around the block during her lunch break, comes back to work feeling refreshed and rejuvenated, is able to actually finish the afternoon's tasks, leaves work on time, goes home, has some gas left in the tank to spend on her children, feels present with her kids, and then, goes to bed having a moment of gratitude and thinking about, how tomorrow's going to be better. And thus the upward spiral begins. So none of these are like massive, dramatic changes. I find that profound changes happen in a series of tiny incremental changes, right? Am I going to do this one meditation? Am I going to eat this one whole food versus this one candy bar? Am I going to go to the gym today versus solving for the rest of your life? And so it's like our these massive life changes come from a little tiny bit of incremental change. I've just seen it happen in my own life and 20,000 of my students' lives. If they commit to the practice, it's like suddenly everything else gets easier. It's like this magical thing where if you change the projector, the projection changes. What a lot of us are doing is that we're blaming the circumstances of our life for the stress. We're like, well, it's my mom and my brother and New York City and my job and my ex and my taxes, and these are all the reasons that I'm stressed. But if you actually take accountability for your own mindset, for your own body, for your own actions, then magically all of the circumstances around you start to change.
Yeah,
it's not magic, it's an investment.
Yeah, it's an investment in yourself, in your life, in your health. A lot of people are motivated by materialistic possession or whatever it may be. But a lot of people aren't making that investment knowing that they could have a much better present life. Because are you going to get to the end of your life and go, you know what? I wish I spent more time stressing. I wish I spent more time working. I wish I spent more time saving up for that car. No, you're going to wish that you spent more time on yourself and being present and being grateful and enjoying the people around you and, the conversations like we're having right now. Because a lot of people aren't, especially in New York, you're in the perfect place for your practice. Because I travel to New York several times a year. Like it doesn't matter if I'm staying in New Jersey, Manhattan, I will always make sure that I get to Central Park every morning and do my run. But even down there, everybody's just go, 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 go. Nobody's really taking off the blinkers and enjoying what they have and investing in themselves. And I can speak from personal experience because I go to bed early, I wake up early. I know if I wake up late, I wouldn't be doing that meditation. Whatever happens first thing in the morning dictates the rest of my day. So if I'm delayed, if I'm late, I get stressed. So I want to make sure that I can kind of control the day from the morning go. So when I go into my workout and, speaking on behalf of all the Ironman athletes out there, they spend a lot of time training. They don't think they have enough time. But what I'd say is to everybody listening, practice discipline. Practice discipline by starting this meditation practice right now. Like I said, put it in your calendar and go out and get this book. And this isn't me just selling this to you. I have no affiliation with this book, but it's really changed me, and it's really helped, because I wouldn't be meditating twice a day, hadn't it been for this. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. So I heard you talk, and my audience has heard me talk about telomeres, and I am definitely in the biohacking world. However, I know what my followers like. If I talk about 5 bicep exercises today and I post it online, it's going to get a lot of interacting. If I talk about my new blue light blocking glasses I got, no one's really interested. However, I put it out there anyway. However, I have spoken about, I have my biological age tested against my chronological age by having my telomeres tested. Now, because it's been said that meditation is anti-aging. Okay, could you tell us a little bit about that, on what people can expect from, because we all want to reverse age, what they can expect from meditation in that regard specifically?
Yeah, so there is some pretty fascinating science coming out from Tufts University and Wake Forest University. One is saying that meditation can reverse your body age by up to 8 years.
8 years.
The other is saying 15 years.
Wow, I'll take both.
When I first started hearing about this, I was like, this cannot be true. This is not magic. It's not a fountain of youth. And it's not. But if you want proof that stress ages the body expeditiously, look at any president the day they take office, and that same president 4 years later, right? They gain weight, they lose weight, they get gaunt, they go gray. And that's not a coincidence, right? It's the fact that they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. And that stress is, it makes our body more acidic. It decreases our sleep quality, so our body's not regenerating. It's making us inflamed. And so stress, we know, expeditiously ages the body. Now, if meditation is the most powerful stress relieving tool that we have, and it stands to reason that it can reverse our body age. And also, we've all met that one yogi, that 68-year-old woman who's been doing yoga every day of her life and just has like taut, glowing skin and bright eyes and like beautiful gray hair and toned biceps. Like, we've all met that person, and they're like, oh yeah, I've just been meditating and doing yoga for 40 years. Now, they haven't had a bunch of like Botox, they haven't had plastic surgery. It's just like, we know it works. We're just looking for any trick to not have to do the work. And so I think that's one thing. And also, people can use their own body as a guide. Like, think about how you look and feel after 5 days of vacation, where you're swimming and having sex and in the sun and doing yoga, versus how you feel if you've been pulling all-nighters for 5 days in a row and working 24 hours a day. Like, we all look like shit after that. And we look better when we rest and rejuvenate and spend time in nature.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm not saying that I look like the fountain of youth, but whenever I go back home to Wales and I see a lot of my friends that are the same age as me and I haven't seen them since school, I'm like, oh my God, what happened? But, they're doing the same thing. Like you said, they're burning the candles at both ends. They're definitely not meditating. They're not trying to reverse their age or increase their health span. And it shows. Like you said, the presidents are the perfect example. I like that. It's a perfect example. One. Yeah. And, and you're 40 years old and you look fantastic. And Thank you. I can't see those 3 gray hairs at all.
They're there. Well, I plucked them out pretty quickly.
All right. Okay. Got you.
I'm still vain. Meditation does not help my vanity much.
Don't pluck out one of them. Remember, when you pluck one, 2 come back, apparently. So
is that true? Or is that just an old wives' tale?
I'm not risking it. I don't know. I don't want to try it. I'll leave them in. There was one thing that I wanted to speak to you about then. So, like you said, there's studies, there's a lot of researchers coming out. How many studies are there now out there on meditation? Do you know?
I mean, at the moment, right now, I do not know. And the good news there is that there's so many coming out each week. Like, if you look at like 1970 to 2019, it's like a hockey puck, it's like, a hockey stick. Just the number of studies have increased exponentially. So I think it's like the more famous people and high performers that out themselves as meditators, the more neuroscientists are interested in studying it. And then the more neuroscience that comes out, the more high performers are willing to out themselves as meditators. But I know it's well over 1,400. And it may be like far beyond that now.
Yeah, because I've noticed, because I keep up to date with a lot of studies and a lot of research is still coming out. So I was just wondering what that number is, but it's huge. It's a huge amount. And it's of no coincidence that everybody that I know that meditate and participate in some sort of practice like that, like you said, with yoga, they're just so chilled. They look great and you're envious. But I think there's just a huge disconnect with the rest of us where we go, it just must be within their characteristic. They must have been born like that. But
Yeah.
no, it's just like with anything. Like you said, you have to practice it. You have to change that neuro pathways in order to encompass it and learn it like I have. So
I'll actually share maybe like the best compliment I've ever been given. I was doing a show because, I used to be an actress and I quit and then I did one more show, like just for like 3 weeks in the summer because my husband had never seen me perform. Like he really saw me at the end of my acting career when I was really doubling down on Ziva, and I wanted him to see me do this thing that I dedicated my whole life to. So anyway, I did this show and there was some younger girls in the cast and they were a little starstruck. Like they were just not starstruck because I'm not that I'm a star, but they were just they were like wowed by me in a certain way. And my friend Denis was with me and he's known me for like 10 years. So he's known me pre-meditation. At this point, it was 10 years. Pre-meditation, pre-Ziva, all of this. And they were asking me all these questions like I was some enlightened saint or something. And Denis was like, Emily has not always been like this. And I was like, what? Tell me more. And he's like, she was not always like this. And basically what he was saying is like, she earned this. Like he's seen me go from like very competitive, very driven, overdriven, not so, I was never mean, but I wasn't nice, like overly nice. And so he's just seen this transition, and it's paradoxically, I think he was insulting me, but I took it as the biggest compliment I've ever been given.
yeah, for sure. It's like, if you have a before and after picture, to begin with, that before picture, you're horrified. You're not going to show anyone. But when you've got that after picture, it's like, hey, well, I'm kind of proud to see that journey because I created that myself. I wasn't born like that. And like a lot of people, whenever, like I document through what's called video trainers, a transformation, or if I'm doing an Ironman or something like that. But people will quickly say, well, it's easier for you because you work out for a living. I'm assuming you get people say the same thing for you. It's easier for meditate. It's your career.
Well, that is true. Like, and I will acknowledge that. Like, I get paid to meditate with people, and so like I want to acknowledge the privilege and luxury that is. And on the weeks that I'm not teaching, I do find it challenging. Like, I find it challenging to do my second sitting, and so I just want everyone to know that like it's just like sometimes it's hard to go to the gym. Just sometimes it's hard to not eat the Oreos. Sometimes it's hard to eat the salad. It's like we keep choosing it. We keep choosing ourselves. We keep choosing to make promises to ourselves and keep them because it's ultimately what moves us towards our dreams, right? It's ultimately what's building personal integrity. And, these are all things that I've learned from my life coach, Lauren Zander. And I think just like you would have like a coach, like a training coach at the gym, sometimes it's nice to have a meditation coach or a life coach to basically help you get clear on what your promises are and to hold you accountable if you don't keep them. Because it's really easy to break promises to yourself. It's harder to break them to someone else.
Yeah.
And so I think, if you don't have a coach, you could always find a buddy. Just like people have a workout buddy. Why not get a meditation buddy? Make a bet. If a lifetime of bliss and fulfillment and better performance is not enough for you, then put some money on the table, right? And be like, if I skip my meditation, then I have to pay you $100 or something.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe that's where the issue comes to be as well. Like you said, you have what is called meditation, but it really isn't, with the free apps. It's free, you're not going to take it seriously. Whereas if you have somebody coming around to your house and you're paying for it, then you're going to be a little bit more present and be a little bit more accountable. And this is where I think you are very, very good, because it feels like when I'm listening to you and I'm, have you on my phone, it feels like you're here because you're very personable, you're cracking jokes. So you've got good company, but it's that accountability every morning. It's like, I'm kind of looking forward to this now. I'm going to, look forward to it. And, you are going to be present during that time. But the thing is, what you explain very, very well is, look, your mind's going to wander. Your brain is going to be all over the place. That's okay. It's meant to happen. Don't think that you suck at it. That's okay. So, if there's noise, acknowledge that noise. If there's a feeling, acknowledge. If there's a smell, acknowledge it. And I really like that, because you always think to yourself, especially if it's not guided, you think, I should ignore. Now I suck because I'm experiencing all of them. So that's very good. So thank you very much. Now,
my pleasure.
In regards to the course, like I'm sure there's a lot of people now listening go, okay, where do I start? How do I do this? Okay, number one, there's the book. I will put the link into the show notes on where you can get this awesome book, Stress Less, Accomplish More. Number two, and I'll put links as well in the show notes. How else can people follow along with you, Emily, in order to participate in this Ziva meditation?
Yeah, so a beautiful next step is the course that you did. It's called Ziva Online, and it's a 15-day training. It's about 15 to 20 minutes a day for 15 consecutive days, and it's designed to make you self-sufficient. So it's designed to give you the keys to the car and the driving instructions so that you don't need me anymore. So you don't need an app or incense or gongs or a dude playing drums on your chest. It's like you can just close your eyes and dive in. If you're on a plane, on a bus, at work, in traffic, anywhere, you can just close your eyes and access this rest, this fulfillment, this, body age reversing juju. So anyway, the 15 days of training, it's the first 3 days I teach the mindfulness technique. And in days 4 through 12 is when we dive into this very different type of meditation, which honestly feels kind of like a supercharged power nap sitting up, but without the sleep hangover on the other side. It's the thing that you're giving your body this rest so that you feel more awake, more energized on the other side. So that's the majority of the course. And then days 13, 14, and 15 are all about manifesting, which sounds hippy-dippy, but it's really just consciously creating a life you love. It's you taking the time to get intentional about what you want your life to look like. And, Olympians use this, bodybuilders use this. You're basically just using your mental power to fuel your dreams instead of fueling your anxiety. And then once you graduate, you don't lose access to the course. You have access for 6 months, and you also have access to this beautiful online community, which I'm very proud of. We have thousands of meditators from all over the world in there. I'm in there. My Ziva guides are in there, and there's lots and lots of support. Because one thing that we haven't really talked about too much is that when you do a meditation practice this powerful, it can create a bit of emotional and physical detox. And a lot of people need some support through that. So if you've got some sadness inside, you might have some sad flavored stress coming up and out. Or if you've got some rage or some irritability or whatever's inside in these first few weeks and months, it can come up and out. So it's really important that you have some support through that process. And that's what that online community is there for. And you can find that at zivameditation.com/online. And Ziva is Ziva.
Awesome, thank you. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. Now, once you've done that 15-day course, like you said, you've got 6-month access. You can repeat and repeat and repeat, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do recommend that people take the course at least 2 or 3 times if they can, or even just go back and visit 1 or 2 days, because you might be able to tell I talk really fast, and it's a lot of information coming at you, and your brain is quite literally changing. So you're going to hear different things the first time through than you do the third time through. Yeah. And so I do recommend that people utilize that 6 months of access.
Yeah, and what I've done a couple of times, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or wrong thing. One day I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like I really got it. I'll play it again. Like the following day. So I've done that. Like maybe I've played day 7 twice.
Great.
Okay.
Love that.
And now you do mention as well that people, like within it, maybe I'm going too far down a rabbit hole here, that they create a mantra for themselves. And then at the end, you have that safety stop as well. What is the mantra, and what does that do for people?
Yeah, so good question. So I think I need to adjust how I worded this in the book, because I'm not suggesting that people just invent their own mantras. And the word mantra has been very hijacked by the wellness industry. Most of us, when we hear the word mantra, we think slogan or affirmation, like, I am strong or I deserve abundance. But those are really slogans or sayings or affirmations. The word mantra is a Sanskrit word. Man means mind, tra means vehicle. So a mantra is a mind vehicle. And the ones that we use in the book are different than Ziva Online, which are different from Ziva Live. So these are basically the 3 ways that people can learn: the book, Ziva Online, and Ziva Live. And I liken them to the live course, where people are learning from me face to face. This is like the Maserati of meditations. It's fast, it's powerful. I think it makes you sexier. And in this case, I actually give people a personalized mantra. And these are meaningless primordial sounds. And it actually is the sound quality of the mantra that helps to induce this deep, rejuvenating rest. And it sounds woo-woo, but it's really not. There's a whole branch of science called cymatics, which is the science of sound. And then we made Ziva Online mantras a bit gentler just because I'm not there face to face with people and I don't want them throwing themselves into like a massive, emotional detox without face to face support. So the mantras that we use in Ziva Online, I basically teach people a protocol of how to choose one of 3 mantras from a curated list. And then we give a gentler sort of universal mantra in the book. But all of them are doing the same thing. They're all de-exciting the nervous system and giving you this rest and helping you to access the right hemisphere of the brain.
Got it, right. And then you have a safety stop. So, these meditations are actually sectioned. So then you have a safety stop, and the safety stop is for you to kind of absorb everything that you've kind of learned, correct? And then you use that time to be grateful of 3 things.
Yes, so we use the safety stop at the end. Like one, you don't just want to open your eyes right out of a meditation because it's too shocking to the brain. It can give you headaches. But the other thing that we do is we use those 2 minutes, yes, for gratitude, but then that's where I recommend using the time for manifesting. So that's the time where you've just sort of accessed source energy. You've just been able to really turn up the volume on your intuition. So that's a very powerful time for you to, I call it placing the order with the cosmic waitress at the cosmic restaurant. It's like you're placing your order with the universe. You're getting clear about what it is that you want in your life, and then using that time to imagine your dreams as if they're happening now. And what I found is that the combination of meditation and manifesting are so much more powerful than either one alone. It's like you could just do cardio and that's going to do one thing for you, or you could just strength train, but doing both of them together is where the magic happens. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Got it, right. Yeah, that's what I like about this, is that there's just so many different attributes to this practice that work hand in hand with each other to give you something a little bit more powerful. As long as you practice it, as long as you're disciplined to it, then you kind of think that you're going to get, because I think a lot of people, they've tried meditation, they've tried manifestation, and they just go into something else and go, this is probably going to be part of the same thing, not knowing it's much like hairdressers. You're going to get a good hairdresser, you're going to have a bad hairdresser. You can't put them on the same sort of pedestal there. But anyway, thank you ever so much for your time here, Emily. It was a pleasure talking to you. It was great to actually finally speak to you on a device that actually answers back. And I really... But
just keep cracking jokes to those videos. I'm sure I'll appreciate it on a cosmic level.
Yeah. I like that. I like the humor. But it's been a pleasure. And like I said, we'll put all the links into the show notes so you can check out the book. You can check out the online course. Emily Fletcher, it's been a pleasure, and when I'm in New York next time, hopefully I'll be able to do one of these courses in person with you, so then I've done the trifecta.
There you go. I would really like to meet you in person, and I thank you for having me on. It really means a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, have a great day.
Bye.